Here's my review for these paddles made by Srikel. First and foremost, the presentation of these paddles is excellent. They come in these nice boxes. They come with a paddle cover, and the paddles themselves seem to be pretty well made. They are a carbon fiber face paddle. I think it's T700 like most of the other paddles. And the weave is very uniform. There's only a little bit of decals on there, so you can see what the paddle face looks like pretty well as you're playing. There's no edge guard, and there's just a little bit of whatever that is, paint or something around the edge. So if you are going to be using this paddle, I would recommend some tape to protect it. It sounds really nice. When you scratch the paddle face, it sounds a lot like a lot of the Selkirk paddles. The handle is kind of like a normal size. It's not very elongated, but you get a good grip on it with one, and two, you can always put your hand up, and it's very lightweight in your hand. They also thought to include, looks like some extra, an extra grip in white, and then also a paddle eraser. This is nice that they decided to include it, although I've started to move away from using them just because I think they're a little harsh. They also sent me this case, which can accommodate, I think 2 paddles and maybe 4 balls. You'll probably fit some other stuff in here too, like some clothing on one side. So the left side maybe for clothing or perhaps shoes. And then this side over here for your 2 paddles and then some balls. Or 2 balls and some accessories. So yeah, pretty nice. All right, so here's some play with the paddle. I've had, I think, 3 sessions with this paddle. I dabbled in it, a couple of games at open play. Did not enjoy it initially because I wasn't used to it. And I played again with a buddy of mine, some singles and some drilling, and got a better feel for it. And then I played a few games with my good friends on my Wednesday night game. And my initial thoughts on this paddle are thus. At the kitchen, for dinking and volleys, I really do like the way this paddle feels. You can generate some pretty good spin from the paddle face, and the way it comes off of the paddle, the touch, feels really nice. It's a 16 millimeter, which is not a size that I play with very often. I almost always have been using a thinner paddle, like the power paddles, as opposed to the control paddles. I don't have a lot of upper body strength. I tend to be a little wimpy when it comes to drives, and I like the power paddles more than the control paddles because they tend to help me with placement of the ball, putting the ball deep or putting it away off of an overhead. I like the thinner paddles because they allow me just to work on my angle and my stroke. My brush, really. If you come from a tennis background, this kind of paddle is probably going to be better for you because, you're used to those big, broad, powerful strokes. I do not have any background in racket sports except for my time playing pickleball. So things I like about the paddle: at the kitchen, it feels really nice. Volleys feel pretty nice. It's very lightweight in your hands. It doesn't have a lot of heft to it. The con of this is when swinging the paddle from the back, compared to some other thicker paddles that I've used, it seems like I have to hit the ball even harder to get it, over the net and deep back to the baseline on the opposite side. So when thinking about it from that kind of perspective, it kind of makes me think that either some of the other paddles that I've used have had a little bit more mass or weight, or the construction of the paddles that I've used in the past have a different kind of material inside, or a second layer or a third layer that allows them to get more push on the ball. So I went ahead and weighed the paddle. It's coming in at 7.4 ounces, which is, 0.6 ounces lighter than what I'm normally used to. So that would go a long way in explaining why it feels so much different. And that seems pretty light in general for a control series paddle. The difference in paddle technology became really clear to me when I tried to do one of my favorite serves, which is a pure topspin serve, where I'm just trying to hit the ball as hard as I possibly can straight and then have it dip down. So not parabolic at all. And almost every single time I tried to do this kind of serve, the ball just went straight into the net. After playing with it for a couple of games, I kind of got a better idea of how it functioned. And it kind of reminded me of the Selkirk Vanguard Power Air Invicta, that paddle, the thin one, the white and black one. It has a similar feel when the ball is touching the paddle. It kind of feels the same way as it comes off. but with like 15 to 20% less power. So maybe if they made a thinner version of this paddle, that would be closer to what that was. I don't know if Selkirk actually made a 16 millimeter. I think they only made the thinner ones. Maybe the Amped Pro, the ones that came out a little bit later, might be closer to this. The one that my buddy Wilder is playing with on the opposite side, the red one. So yeah, final thoughts for this paddle and Srikel, the company in general. For the first time I've ever heard of these paddles, I think they're doing really well. They're on the right track for making good quality pickleball gear. You know, it's definitely a control example of what their paddles are. So for me, it's probably not the best fit, but I would very much be interested in trying any kind of power series paddle they make. So thank you again to Srikel. I really appreciate you guys sending your paddles out for me to test, and can't wait to see what you guys come out with next as you move forward. Thanks for watching. Toodaloo.